Previously on Gaines Poker.
I do want to take some shots and play in some bigger games, like 10-20, and it might be this trip. I don't know. You guys will just have to stay tuned and find out.
What is up? Usually my saying is rise and grind, because normally we like to fly out super early in the morning, but not on this Vegas trip. We actually booked one of the last flights to fly out. It just worked out better that way this time. Got a few more clients to come in and train, and I think my house was probably the cleanest it's ever been before leaving for a trip. And the stress of rushing through security to not miss the flight was non-existent, because as you can see, there was literally nobody on the plane. There's probably 30 or 40 of us. And I didn't really plan on playing the first night I was there anyway. The goal was just to fly in, get some rest, get a good night's sleep, because I knew the very next day I was set out to play the biggest game of my life. We put our name down for both the 5-10 and the 10-20, and I'm like, all right, whichever game calls us first, that's what we're gonna play. And lo and behold, the 10-20 does get called first. Brand new game, well, the only game running. Can back out now, so let's do this. There is no max buy-in for this game, and I know here at the Bellagio, the 5-10 has a $2,500 max buy-in, so I kind of figured 10-20, just double that, 5K. But when I go and sit down, I look around the table, and a few players have maybe 4,000 or 5,000, but most of them have 8 to 12. So we start out with 6K, and we're ready to rock and roll. It takes me a little while to get my chips and get situated, because there's only one person working at the cage, so it took a little bit, and these guys have already been playing for about an orbit. And as soon as I get situated, set up my phone, ready to film, under the gun, and they asked me, "You gonna put on the straddle?" I was like, sure, let's do it, let's go. So the very first hand we're dealt in, we get involved. It folds around all the way to the big blind, who raises to 140. We're next to act in the end of the gun, and we look down at Queen Jack offsuit. I didn't plan on taking shots and not defending my straddle on the very first hand, so we throw in 100 more. And we're heads up to a flop in position, and it comes Queen High, Queen 9-3 rainbow. Not a bad situation, flopping top pair, decent kicker, and surprisingly the big blind checks to us, and it's not rocket science. We have top pair, we're gonna bet it, we throw out 120. But then immediately the big blind check raises to 400. We're still liking our hand, so we don't go anywhere. We throw in 280 more. So onto a turn, and it comes 8 of diamonds, bringing in the backdoor flush draw, but giving us a gutter to go along with our top pair. The big blind, first to act, keeps his foot on the gas, and he throws out a bet, and he makes it 580. Still, I don't think we can go anywhere, especially turning a little bit more equity, so we make the call. The river is a 4 of spades, total blank, doesn't change anything. The big blind slows down now and checks to us. And I think I'm okay taking my top pair to showdown, and I would hate it to get check raised again if we did decide to bet. So we do, we check back. He flips over his cards and he has ace queen offsuit. I tell him good kicker, and right off the bat, just like that, we're down a little over $1,000. Definitely not the star we were looking for, but we don't have to wait long till we get involved again. We're in the cutoff this time, and it's against the same opponent, which I happen to glance right next to the screen next to the dealer that says what the game is, what the stakes are, and all the players' names. And the guy to my right in the 7th seat is named, or his nickname is Hitman. So I'm playing a game, biggest game of my life, against opponents that are nicknamed Hitman. I mean, how crazy is this? The straddle is not on in this hand, so it's just a regular 10-20 with a $20 big blind ante. I guess in bigger games, there's a big blind ante. Just thought I should mention it. But folds around all the way to the hijack, the same guy that we were just talking about. And he raises to $60. We're next to act, and we look down at a decent pair, pocket tens. We bump it up, looking to get some of our money back from this guy, and we make it 200 to go. It folds around all the way back to him, and he 3-bets, and he makes it 600. And let's be clear, we're only 10 minutes into our session, and we're already getting after it, with pre-flop bets that are sometimes even bigger than what we buy in for at the lower stakes. We're in position, we're ready to battle, so we make the call, throw out 400 more, and we flop middle set on Jack 10-9, 2-heart board. The hijack, first to act, checks over to us, which is understandable. I mean, this board should hit our range more than his, which it does, we do connect. So we're in the driver's seat now, and we gotta go for some value, and we assemble a bet, but we don't wanna make it too big and blow him off. We want him to call with any backdoors, overcards, and maybe even an overpair might check this board. So the number we come up with is 540, and he actually calls pretty quickly. Maybe we should have made it bigger because the board does have potential to become scary for us. Like if more hearts come or any overcards really, because like I said, he could have aces, kings, queens, and if a queen hits, that would make it a 4-liner. So hard to really know what the best decision is. If we go too big and he has black ace king suited, then going smaller makes sense because he can float. But if he has the other hands that I mentioned, aces, kings, queens, or any overcards with a heart, a bigger bet for protection makes sense. So hard to really know when you can't see the cards, if only, right? But here we are, onto a turn, and the hearts do come in. It's 3 hearts. He checks over to us, and not really worried about a flush, because there's only 2 possible combos that he can have, ace, king, ace, queen of hearts. There's around $2,400 in the middle, so we go less than half pot. Again, maybe should go bigger, but I only have around $3,500 in my stack, so going too big might get ace, king, ace, queen with the ace of hearts to let it go. Especially if we go pot or over pot, putting our entire stack in. And it's kind of funny that I'm watching the hand over playing in a bigger game. There's definitely more analysis that goes into all this. There's a little more, if he has this hand or that hand, then we should do this. But anyway, we bet $1,100, setting up an easy half pot size jam if we get a clean river, or if he wants to turn his missed draws into a bluff. He tanks for a little bit and ultimately does make the call. So looking for a safe card on the river, because it looks like we're gonna play a 5-figure pot 10 minutes into our session. Come on, dealer, a black deuce, please. It does come, and it's a 9 of diamonds, giving us a full house. I'm like, let's go. I'm kind of happy, but kind of not at the same time. I had a feeling that we were ahead, and this card may kill our action. He checks to us again for a 3rd time, and we tank for a little bit, making it look like that we have a decision to make. But you know, I know, there's no decision to be had here, and we do finally announce all in. Absolutely praying for a call. He looks down at his cards, but ends up folding right away. Ugh, would have been nice to get it all in. And I was right, that card did kill our action, but I guess it's better than a heart coming, right? We're still scooping in the biggest pot of my life thus far. I think the second biggest was early on in September last year. It was like $2,400, $2,500 playing here at the Bellagio, 510. But this pot was definitely much bigger. So let's keep it going and try to build on that momentum. An hour goes by into this next hand, and the $40 under the gun straddle is on, and we look down at ace king offsuit in the cutoff. Folds around to us, and we bump it up, we make it 100. It seemed like the standard when the straddle was on, 2.5x. The button, cold 3-bets to 320. The blinds and the under the gun straddle get out of the way. Action back on us. And in our normal smaller stake game, it's almost an automatic 4-bet spot. But in this game, we want to see flops. We don't really want to go $6,000, $7,000 pre-flop with ace king offsuit. So we just make the call. So with over $700 in the middle, the flop comes 5, 10, 8, all diamonds. We don't have a diamond in our hand, which is unfortunate. Even if we did, we still check and flow to the aggressor. And he down bets, as I would expect with majority of his holdings, and he makes it 200. Less than a third pot, we float and make the call. Can't go anywhere for that price, and ace high can still be good. So on to a turn, it comes a queen of diamonds. If he was stabbing with anything other than a diamond, then this is a great card. But if he has the ace or king of diamonds, then we just lost. We check again to him, and he slows down and checks back. It could be a sign of weakness, or just checking back the nuts. I guess we're gonna find out, because the river comes, the 10 of spades, pairing the board. We are first to act, and we're sitting with nothing, just ace high, so we have to bet to win. There's around $1,100 in the middle, so we go less than half pot ourselves, trying to make it super milky, with it saying, please call me with anything. So with our $460 wager, he thinks about it for a little bit, and he reaches for some chips, and ends up raising to like 2,000 or around 2,000. I didn't even quite see the amount. It didn't really matter because I knew I was folding anyway, but I take my time, look back at my cards. Maybe the king of hearts changed to a king of diamonds somehow, but it didn't, and I shamelessly fold. Yes, it was a paired board, but I doubt he had pocket tens for quads or pocket queens for top full house. I'm guessing just the ace of diamonds, and we had none of it. But hey, A for trying, right? The very next hand dealt in, there's no straddle on in this one. We're in the hijack, it folds around to us, and we look down at king queen offsuit. We raise it up to 60, only the big blind makes the call, so heads up to a flop, and we flop top pair again, queen 6, 8, 2 hearts. The big blind checks to us, and we throw out a c-bet, make it $60. He makes the call. The turn is a 9 of spades. He checks to us again, and there's a few more draws available, pair plus draws, so need to charge those hands. And we bet again, throw out 200 this time. Almost a pot size bet. He does make the call again. The river is a 6 of hearts. A really great card, because if he was slow playing 2 pair, he's now counterfeited and straights missed. And if he does have a queen with an inferior kicker, he might just bet out for value. A few of those scenarios cross my mind, and he does decide to lead, but he makes it super small, only throwing out 200. We're getting a really good price, and yes, I know the front door flush did come in, but I would think he would have let out bigger if he did have a flush, or perhaps check raised. So the small lead was a little fishy to me, so we make the call pretty quickly, and the river did help him, and he shows 6-7 suited for trips. Again, he just made it super small, so because of the price, we had to pay it off. But moving on to this next hand, folds around all the way to the small blind, who raises to 80. We're next to act in the big blind, and we look down at ace queen offsuit. We just make the call, because I'm a fish apparently, not really used to playing too many blind versus blind hands. Because in most smaller games, people just chop blind versus blind. But regardless, even if you haven't played many blind versus blind hands, ace queen is a good hand, so you should probably bump it up. It's poker 101, you raise strong hands, but we're at least in position. And the flop comes, hey, what do you know? It's queen, queen, 7 rainbow. We have basically the nuts, unless he has pocket sevens, of course. And he does throw out a c-bet, as most players would, for $60. I'm not worried about any card coming on the turn, especially on a rainbow board. I mean, if he has a pocket pair, he's just drawing to 2 outs, and that's the chance we're willing to take. So we just make the call for $60, and I'd probably be floating a down bet anyway with any backdoors in position, so want to keep his bluffs in range. The turn is a 3 of spades, bringing the backdoor flush draw, and unless he has pocket threes, we're still way ahead. And he does slow down this time and checks to us. So now it's our turn to throw in some money, and we do. We make it a super small sizing of 140, hopefully induces a raise of some sort, knowing that he's either drawing dead or drawing super slim. He does make the call for that price, and the river comes, a 4 of spades, bringing in that backdoor flush draw. So got to be a little bit cautious about that, but when he checks to us again, I'm pretty sure we have the best hand. So we go a little bigger this time, making up for the small turn bet, and we bet about 3/4 pot and throw out 400. He folds right away, so didn't have much apparently. So maybe we could have played a bigger pot if I did 3-bet it pre-flop, but who knows, he could have just folded and we wouldn't have got any value whatsoever. An orbit or so goes by into this next hand. The $40 straddle is on, folds around to us in the cutoff, and we look down at ace 2 of spades. A suited ace in a good position, so we bump it up, we throw out 100. It folds around to the under the gun straddle, who comes along for the ride, so heads up to a flop in position, and it comes 8 jack 4 with 2 clubs. We don't have much, backdoor straight draw, 1 over, but that's it. He checks to us in flow, and we throw out a c-bet, throw out $100. He throws in a black chip for a call, and the turn is a good one. It pairs our ace, it's ace of hearts. He checks to us again, and this card favors our range and our hand, but if we happen to check and I show some weakness, he could lead out big with a missed draw or even bottom pair, and then we have an easy call on the river. And I don't really think our hand is good enough to get 3 streets of value from worse, so we check back and see a free river. And the front door and back door flush draws miss. It's a jack of diamonds, pairing the top card on the flop. And even better, because every draw misses, not just the flush draws, but the straight draws as well, like queen 9 or 9-10 or 5-6, 7-6, all those hands. And also at this point, I think the table knew or maybe had a feeling that I wasn't a regular. I mean, all these guys were calling each other by name, and I was just kind of on the side and wasn't really talking much or getting too much involved in conversation. So I expect a hefty lead out of the end of the gun here in this spot, and it does come the price of $580. Instead of snap calling right away, I actually sit back and think about this one for a little bit. I'm like, why so much? Why bet so much? I mean, it's quite an overbet. All the straights miss, all the flushes miss, like I said, and we're still beating a 4 and an 8 that floated on the flop. He was a really smart, competent player who can definitely make this bluff. So I take about 30 seconds and do put in the money for a call. He flips over his hand and he has king jack offsuit, so he did river trips. I'm pretty sure he would have made the same or similar size bet on a non-king or jack river. It might have been a little bit tough to call if the flush draws did hit front door or back door, but just unlucky that he did catch his 5-outer. But oh well, moving on. And we do. It's about an hour later till we get involved into this next hand, and we do pick up the same hand, ace deuce of spades, this time in under the gun. We do not put on the $40 straddle on this one, so it's just a normal 10-20 hand, and we're first to act, so we raise it up to $60. It folds around to the button, who 3-bets to 200. The blinds get out of the way, and we have a suited ace, so let's see a flop. We throw in the extra money. And the flop comes 5-10 ace rainbow, so we do hit top pair again. Our kicker's a little sus, well, non-existent actually, but we still hit top pair. We check in flow, and the button does throw out a c-bet. He throws out 240, and we can't be going anywhere. We have top pair, backdoor straight draw, so we make the call. The turn is a good card. It's a 4 of spades, completing the full rainbow and giving us a gutter to go along with our pair. We check again to him, thinking if he does continue, we can put some pressure with a check raise, because pocket 5s, pocket 10s, ace 4, ace 5, ace 10 suited is definitely in our range. But he slows down and checks back. The river is a club, 5 of clubs, pairing the board. I'm happy taking our ace to showdown, because our kicker doesn't even play, so I check again for a third time, and he does assemble some chips and throws out a pot-sized bet, a 580. We make the call, and he flips over one better, ace-jack offsuit. I smirk a little bit and see more money getting pushed to the same player who river trips against us that last hand. I'm thinking to myself, where's my suck out, huh? Biggest game of my life. Don't I deserve to be bailed out at some point? This next hand we're going to go over, we're on the button, and the $40 straddle is on. Folds around to the cutoff, who raises to 100. We're next to act, and we look down at pocket queens. Like, all right, let's go. Let's play a big one. We 3-bet 3x and throw out 300. The blinds and the end of the gun straddle get out of the way. Come on, cut off. But nope, he folds as well. Ugh, the very next hand dealt in, the $40 straddle is on again. The next act, limps for 40, folds around to us in the hijack, and we have probably one of our favorite hands, Jack 10 suited. We want to play this one, and obviously raising or 3-betting is not working, so we just decide to limp as well. Just to increase the chances of seeing a flop, because we're probably going to call any reasonable size raise. But shockingly, this was probably one of the only hands that wasn't raised the whole 4 hours we've been playing thus far. Because the cutoff, the button, and the small blind get out of the way. The big blind calls 20 more, and the straddle checks his options. So 4 ways to a flop in position. And it comes above average, I think. We flop top 2 pair, 10-6 jack rainbow. It checks all the way around to us, and again, not rocket science. We have a really good hand, so we throw out a bet. We throw out $60. The big blind calls $60. The straddle gets out of the way, and the under the gun 1 calls as well. So now we're 3 ways to a turn, which is a queen of clubs, bringing in some straights, and the backdoor flush draw. The big blind checks again. Action on the end of the gun 1, who leads this time for $200. What's this supposed to mean? He's leading out to me, the aggressor, and another opponent as well. Maybe he hit top pair with a queen, or he picked up a straight draw to go along with a pair, like Jack 9, Queen 9, or a flush draw to go along with a pair, like Ace 9, Ace 10 suited. So a lot of combinations that might want to lead out on this situation, throwing out a blocker type bet. So if we do just make the call and we get a clean river, he'll have to bet again to win. Because if we raise now, those hands like small pair with a straight draw might fold to a bigger bet, like 700, 720, 740. So we do just make the call. The big blind folds. So now we're heads up. The river is the card we want. It's a 3 of hearts, a total brick. He leads out again as expected, this time for $500. So if our read was correct, he's valuing top pair, king, queen, or he needs a bluff at it to win. So I make the call pretty quickly. He turns his cards over and shows king 9 of spades, turning a straight. Wow. And that, my friends, was the hand that broke the camel's back, getting 4 outed. I mean, couldn't just give him a king for top pair and I can get value from that? But nope, the poker gods were not in my corner in this session at all. Besides rivering a full house early on in the session, just a bad run of cards, getting second best or not getting any action with premiums. I think I had ace king a few times that my pre-flop $60 or $100 raises didn't get called, or that hand right before with queens not getting any action. I don't just get up and leave right away after that hand. I play until the blinds and then rack up our chips, head to the cage and cash out.
All right, guys, we just got done with our session. I'll get into the numbers right quick. We were in for 6. I mean, we got $7,000 in chips, just that 1K yellow bird, just put in my bag just in case if we needed it, but didn't add that on. So in for 6, out for 23. So lost a little over 3,600. Yeah, I mean, that definitely was not fun, having the biggest loss of my poker career. But honestly, I don't feel like I played bad. I mean, playing 10, 20, 40, taking shots at a bigger game. But I just ran probably the worst I've ever ran as well. I mean, getting out kicked, people catching gut shots, the same old man, I think, would he have 6-7 offsuit and he rivers another 6 for trips. I mean, yeah, I don't know. There's probably way more hands that I'm not even mentioning. I had solid premiums pre-flop, ace king a couple times, queens, 3-betting with queens and not getting any action, 10s, jacks, I mean, you name it. But yeah, I don't think I played bad at all. Probably solid, I'd say. I mean, taking a shot at a bigger game, these guys are a lot better than the smaller stakes that I'm used to playing. But I wanted to come to Vegas, take some shots, and I held my own for 4 hours, had a 4-hour session. Like I said in my last video, I wanted to take some shots, and we did. I'm a man of my word. I don't BS you guys. I show you guys the good, the bad, the ugly, the up, the down, the natty or not of this poker life. So let me know down below in the comments if you guys like this kind of content, taking shots at bigger games, or let me know if you guys have taken a shot yourself at a bigger game than you're used to. Whatever the stake was, what happened, just how it went overall. I'd love to hear about it. But it is hot as F out here. I'm gonna head back inside. It's at least 110, if not more.
So yeah, I'm gonna cool off inside. But always remember, it's a blessed day. You woke up today, you saw this, and I'm Matty Ice. This is Gaines Poker. Peace out.